It's so good to see so many familiar faces here this afternoon. Thank you for taking time to spend this moment with us. To many of you, he was a dear colleague from Great Eastern Life. Close friends called him Min. His Chinese friends referred to him as Amin. Some of you call him Akong, and you're not really related, but he's still Akong. But to us, he was simply Pa. His personality was infectious. He made friends easily, and he always had a big smile. He was straight to the point, but he can also be super persuasive if he wants to. He loved life. Nothing was ever too difficult nor impossible for him. He was someone who owned the stage, every stage that he ever spoke on, and I was always impressed and at the same time beaming with pride that he was my Pa. To me, Pa was bigger than life. He was like this magnet that could draw people to him. Until now, I can still feel that energy that he exudes. A few days ago, while chatting with Miss Teresa Lee, Pa's first secretary, she shared a beautiful memory with me. She asked me if I remembered her bringing me to watch the Pink Panther movie when I was about 13 years old. This was back in the 70s, And she revealed that it was Pa who asked her to bring me to the movie during her office hour. Why? To help me de-stress from my exams. That was my Pa. Hi, I'm Ainie, and I had the privilege of growing up as his youngest child, becoming his colleague in Great Eastern, and eventually running a business together with him and my husband. In short, Pa was in my life for my whole 61 years. I'm privileged to say that not many people have the opportunity to literally spend their whole life with their fathers. So I definitely have countless wonderful memories with Pa. While prepping for this session, I really had a difficult time choosing what memories to exclude. I know many of you here know him professionally. Some are family members here. So I'll share with you the early years in the Amin household. And then when I was in university, when I started working in Great Eastern, when we founded the company together, and all the way through to my retirement. So what's it like with Pa as our dad? We had great fun growing up together. Pa and Mom loved going to the movies. So when I was 6 or 7, our weekends would typically be going for 1 or sometimes 2 movies. Kung Fu movies in the 60s and 70s, P. Ramlee movies, Malay movies, and sometimes horror movies too. Pa made movie watching more fun and exciting by driving us to Jurong Drive-In Cinema. Those who are old enough will know there's this cinema before, alright? And why was it exciting? It's because we could sit in our car and watch the movie. And we could also order hot dogs and ice cream. Alright? And those were really memorable fun times. And after a movie, we would go to Satay Club for food, sometimes to have Pa's favorite soup kambing. Pa had a love affair with food. He would introduce us to exotic food like Russian cuisine when we didn't even know where Russia was then. He brought us to the Troika restaurant in the early 1970s, and we ate food that not only tasted foreign, but which name we couldn't even pronounce. Many of you knew Pa loved ice cream, peach melba and banana split among his favorite. But the one ice cream that he got us all hooked on was Bomb Alaska. Even the name sounds exotic, right? Why? Because the presentation was dramatic. The whole ice cream would be ignited in flames. It left such a great impact on us that till today, Salim would always order it when he sees it on the menu. The fact that Mom was never a good cook in her younger days never deterred Pa. He needed to find a solution, like he always do. So he enrolled her into a cooking class, where I tagged along. I was probably 5 or 6 years old then. So whatever Mom learned in class, they both would replicate it in the kitchen on a weekend. I remember seeing Pa teaching Mom how to cook chicken with cashew nuts. See, Pa was a scout, so he could cook. He could whip up the biggest fried omelette whole. He flipped it and it never broke. You know, none of us could do it. Maybe Salim could, but I definitely cannot. Pa was also a romantic. Our parents had date nights once every month. Eddie would babysit Salim and me, while Pa and Mom would dress up and go dancing and then have supper. Where? At the hottest nightclub in Singapore in the 1970s, the Oasis. Anyone here old enough to know where the Oasis was? Kallang, Kallang. Now no more already, okay? Calm down. Pa was also a fashionista and a trendsetter of his time. He would wear patent leather shoes. And he owned a pair of white patent leather shoes. You know, it's a bit upping, but he wore them well. And his shirts, his party shirts, would be fabric made of Swiss voile material. Sheer and lightweight. So you can see through, can see, cannot see kind of fabric. You know? And his favorite brand was Bailey. Everything Bailey. Shoes, briefcase, wallets, belts. So Bailey was the first luxury brand we all came to know about. Not the Louis Vuitton, but Bailey. Now, during my NUS days, Salim and I would go to campus together. And all the while, Salim would drive. While I was the daydreamer in the car. I would enjoy the view, but not pay attention to the route. So when Salim graduated, I was in a dilemma. I had a transportation crisis. You see, I had my driving license since I turned 18, but I never needed to drive. So the choice then was to either take the bus, which meant a 1.5-hour commute each way, or to relearn how to drive. So I chose the latter, and Pa came up with a plan, like always. He would drive me to NUS, while I would be the front seat passenger and watch how he drove. And he would drop me off and pick me up after classes, and all I had to do was to focus on watching him drive and familiarize myself with the route. And we did that for 5 straight days. You thought I would have graduated from past driving school, right? No. The next week, he would watch me drive. So I became the driver and he the front passenger observer. To and fro, and we did that for another 5 days. So I should have graduated, but no. Pa was not confident to let me be on the roads on my own. So come Monday, I drove alone to campus, and Pa, he drove his car right behind me. And we did that for 5 straight days. Then I finally graduated from Amin's School of Driving. You see, Pa's motto was always, preparation is the key to success. I later found out that that was very important, as you only have one chance when you are in front of your prospect. So all the preparation came in handy when applied to our business. Many friends ask me what it's like working with my dad. Well, he definitely did not give us any ready clients. I remember a time when I was relatively new in Great Eastern, and I had a major call reluctance issue that day. Pa probably saw me from his room. So he walked out and stood right next to me and told me to pick up the phone and call the name list in front of me. After every rejection, I would just look up at him. He never said a word. He only looked at the phone and do this, gesturing me to call the next one, and the next one, and the next one. He only left my side after I got an appointment. I didn't know which I feared more after that day, call reluctance or my dad standing next to me. You see, Pa believed in the old saying, you give a man a fish and he eats for a day. If you teach the man to fish, he eats for a lifetime. No, my dad wouldn't say it this way. If I may, he would do this. And he would say, you give a man a fish and he eats for a day. But if you teach the man to fish, he eats for a lifetime. This is how he would speak. Many times better than this, but you know, this is mini Amin, so you don't get the full version. Now, we had many wonderful memories in Great Eastern. There was a time back in 1987, I have some ex-colleagues with me here from 1987, when Pa decided he wanted to run for the position of top group sales manager in the month of September, not in February, March, June, September, which meant he only gave us 4 months to help him achieve his goal. You see, it wasn't our goal, so we all couldn't see it. But Pa, he could picture himself receiving the trophy in the Great Eastern Dinner and Dance on stage. So what he did, he used a mobile whiteboard and he wrote his goal, top group in GE, clearly stated. And every day he would sit near the door, the entrance of the office. Whenever any agent returned after an appointment, he would ask, how much did you bring in? How much did you bring in? How much did you bring in? And he would tabulate and record it on the whiteboard for all to see. So after 2 weeks, we kind of got into his game. We all got excited and we wanted to participate. You will see advisor coming back, Min, I did 800 today, you know, and someone else would give a figure and he would write it down. And every day, all day, Pa would also play the song The Impossible Dream by Andy Williams over the telephone system in the office. All of us could hear it, very soft, but we could hear it, all right? And that acted as a motivation and a morale booster. The lyrics went something like this: to dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe, to bear with unbearable sorrow, and to run where the brave dare not go. Well, come 31st of December that year, we made it. We bought into Pa's dream, and he motivated us to share that dream. In fact, we were also motivated. We were the top group in GE for 4 consecutive years. That was how charismatic and impactful Pa was. When major changes happened in the insurance industry, Pa decided it was time to branch out on our own from Great Eastern and be real entrepreneurs. He did it at an age where most people were deciding to retire or had already retired. At 65, he still had a zest for anything he set his eyes on. Being your own boss meant full responsibilities, rental costs, staff salaries, all sorts of operational costs we didn't have to handle while we were in GE. Without the backing of a big company, we were relatively unknown in a totally different playing field. Then the FA market was still new in Singapore. But we knew we were back to square one and we had to attract people to join us. So Pa rented a big office space, even though we only had a few advisors. We just had to fill it up, that's what he said. And Pa, being his gutsy self, decided that the fastest way to get the necessary publicity was to do his recruitment via television ads so that he could reach out to a much wider audience. He was the first in the industry to do that, and it paid off. The initial years were tough. Evenings and weekends were reserved for meeting up with clients, while weekdays were for recruiting, training, coaching, and motivating our team. Pa never once said anything negative through those years. He knew that if you continue putting in the effort, you are bound to see the results someday. And we did. eventually we managed to buy our own office space. Pa always said, when it's time to work, don't think of play. When it's time to play, don't think of work. Never mix the two. So we worked hard and we played hard. We always had 2 parties at MAA, one in May, which is the company's anniversary, and the other in October, which is for Pa's birthday. Pa was like Charlie with many angels. Earlier on, I mentioned Miss Teresa Lee, Pa's first secretary back in the 1970s. When I joined Great Eastern, Pa's secretary was Miss Jessina Wool. At MAA, it was Miss Susanna Yusuf. And then we have Miss Liao Sina. And last but not least, Miss Maya Yunus. They are all here today to remember the man who was like a father and a grandpa to them. Special thanks to Miss Maya. You have been wonderful to Pa, especially in these last few years. Pa also stressed on giving back to the industry. He was heavily involved in Gamma International, an American-based association for managers and financial advisor representatives for many years. He organized seminars, rallied for membership participation, spoke at multiple congresses. In his 80s, Pa acted as an advisor to the association. He participated in educational seminars, moderated at speakers' sessions, contributed ideas to the authorities on how to improve the standard of the industry, and even did Zoom meetings at home during the COVID lockdown. Whenever we visited him at his home during our retirement, you see, Pa never really did retire, but we retired, right? We would see him writing away or researching on topics related to the industry. Pa co-wrote a book at age 90, and he was beaming with pride when it was published in 2023. He never stopped learning regardless of age. Recently, I came across some notes that he wrote when he attended seminars. Rather than having the attitude of, I know it all, Pa in his 90s wrote down concepts shared by speakers, investment terminologies that he was not familiar with, and some motivational phrases. One such note I found says, may every step you take be filled with happiness, love, and peace. May every word you utter sounds like music to the ears of listeners. Pa always said, the faintest ink is stronger than the strongest mind. So write it down, lest you forget. I also found another note that he wrote, dated 12 September 2024. It says, I am a strong believer that salt has some medicinal value. I was advised around 30 to 40 years ago by a very good doctor friend, Dr. George Koo. He advised that I should gargle salt daily, which will help me with my cough then. So I gargled from time to time, and I realized that my cough improved a lot, and I was coughing less. So for someone who is 92 and nearly 93, Pa still writes down whatever he can remember. So what else can I say about our Pa? Pa, we want to tell you we love you more than we ever express ourselves, and you will always be the guiding light in our lives. Thank you for being there whenever we needed your wisdom. You have always been supportive of our ideas, given us the courage, expanded our horizon, and devoted your life to all of us and the love of your life, our mom. I believe you will still be watching us from above. I would also like to thank all of you here who have, in one way or another, contributed to his joyful journey in his lifetime. He had many wonderful makan kakis. I'm sure Pa will be dearly missed in such future makan sessions. I guess it's time for him to meet his peers up there for a rendezvous. Thank you.
That will you do?